Hi everyone, I've got a review for you now that I'm back in England, and I came home to some samples and various things to try, so I will be showing you those things at some point. But for now, one of the samples I received was a free sample that I applied for. I think it was on a Facebook ad, and it's Yves Saint Laurent's Libre. So this is a female marketed fragrance and it's an eau de parfum. All it tells me in the inside of here is that the notes are orange blossom flower, lavender and white musks. It says the first floral lavender for a singular trail like a breath of freedom. The iconic orange blossom flower from Morocco, a luminous and sensual white flower twisted by the lavender from France, an ambiguous flower often considered a masculine, bringing boldness and freshness and texture. I smelt this last night. Well, I've actually smelt it a couple of times. I've done a little test on my hand a couple of times. Last night I sprayed it, just the one spray on my left hand, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised when I woke up to find that it was still there. So that was 11 hours later, because I'm still a little bit possibly affected by the time frame difference between Mexico and the UK. Plus I also did a night shift on Wednesday, so I'm still slightly in night mode as well. But I slept for 11 hours and I could still smell it on my hand the next day. I think that's very, very good in terms of longevity. And it wasn't a pure skin scent. It was sort of ever so slightly projecting about a centimetre off my hand. So it wasn't just like you had to touch skin to nose to test it. It was definitely still quite there, and quite a pleasant far dry down smell too. So let's spray it on. Here we have the sample. As you can see, it's not completely full because, as I said, I have tested it just one or two sprays a couple of times. But let's go in. I think I'm going to do a lot because I think it's only fair. That's probably just about a ml or so, and I think it's only fair when testing samples to really go for it if you're going to talk about longevity and projection. So so that's done about half of it, and I will do the wrist that's holding the phone there, and I'll save that for the other wrist, and potentially see how much is left. Anything left will go back up here, but I'll do that off camera because you don't need to see that. So when I first smell it, it's really quite fresh, but not in a citrus way. It smells a little bit like almost virgin on an aquatic, in that it's kind of a sea air or a sea breeze. Not that it's salty as such, but it has that fresh ozonic feel. So kind of what you would get from an aquatic, like your cool water and your issey miyake. It has something like that in there, but it's not as strong and noticeable. It just gives it this hint of freshness. It just feels like a breath of fresh air. Now, there are definitely white musks in here, and it could even be coming from those, but I feel like it's probably a mixture of white musk and something else to give it that fresh air, almost fresh laundry blowing in the breeze, with the full-on breeze as well as the clean laundry, that kind of thing. So it's a very pleasant and likable top note going on in here. It is a designer fragrance. It doesn't smell niche, it doesn't smell weird and challenging, but it is very, very pleasant. I actually quite like it. Let me just smell my wrist. When you smell it up close, it's much more intense and there's more going on. So when I was smelling it just coming up from here, I was mostly getting that I was mostly getting that fresh air, fresh breeze, maybe a little bit of laundry thing. But up close, it's a bit sweeter, and I wouldn't say it smells exactly like orange blossom at the moment. It does smell floral, almost virgin on gourmand. Now, when I smelt it the other day, I felt certain that there's heliotrope in here. Heliotrope, if you don't know, is a gorgeous note. I love it. and it's kind of almond-like, a little bit floral, cottony, powdery, musky. It's really gorgeous. If it's overdone, it can be a little bit cloying, but when I smelled this the other day, I felt sure there was just a hint of heliotrope going on. And I'm not necessarily getting the almond-like aspects of it at the moment, but I definitely get some kind of fluffy, cotton wool, bit powdery, not mega powdery, a bit powdery, and a touch on the floral side. But floral-wise, I wouldn't say I definitely smell orange blossom, and I wouldn't say I definitely smell lavender. I'm not really picking up lavender. Although lavender can be evasive to me. I know lavender very well. I've worked with it. I did learn aromatherapy many years ago, and lavender was the one that I used the most because A, it's the cheapest one, and B, it's a great healer, relaxer. It mixes very, very well with pretty much all the other aromatherapy oils. So lavender was one that I used a lot. I would buy big bottles of lavender essential oil. This has a real smoothness to it. It's very creamy. It's not rich and syrupy and intense. It's creamy and quite diffusive. So it's one of those I do like, and I've said this before, I love a fragrance that's transparent where you can smell the fragrance, but you can also smell the air around you. That is a really nice fragrance to my nose, and this is definitely doing that. I smell just a very light hint of sort of white woods, like a very clean woodsy note. Could be a touch of cedar or something like that, just in the background, but the main foreground is this creamy, ever so slightly floral, ever so slightly powdery, clean, musky scent. It's really, really quite pleasant. Hi everyone, so I'm back, and the fragrance has been on my skin for, I would say, about an hour and a half, 2 hours. When Dan first arrived, oh Sweetie's jumped on Dan's lap. When Dan first arrived, he said, what did you say?
You smell nice.
He did.
And I recognise, it felt familiar, but I don't think it is.
But he said it smells very me.
Yeah, like some other stuff I've smelled you wear, definitely.
Okay,
yeah.
So here it is now.
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
It's a bit powdery. Something about it is just reminded me of La Mal a bit.
Okay, yeah.
By John Paul, the male, obviously John Paul Gaultier one. It is sweet and powdery, but not very cloying or not gourmand.
Sweet,
no, but there is a bit of sweetness, maybe florals, and a kind of powdery tonka bean, benzoin kind of thing going on. I would say maybe, and I like it. And it reminds me of some of your Guerlain fragrances.
Okay.
I think you mentioned a Shalimar
Soufflé de Parfum, which is I think is similar-ish to that. Niche or designer?
I'm going to say designer.
Okay. Male or female?
Female, I would say.
Night or day?
Leaning a little bit towards nighttime.
Okay.
Just because it's quite perfumey.
Do you think it's not just a freshie? Strong? I'm trying to figure out how strong it is. I've used the whole sample on myself, but more up here.
Yeah.
Is it
when you came in from the shops that you came back from, I definitely smelled it.
Yeah.
Without, it wasn't like I'm going to check what you're wearing. And I wasn't thinking about perfume. Okay. I got a waft of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's
how long ago you'd sprayed it then, I don't know.
That would have been about an hour or so.
I'm saying that's quite strong, yeah.
Okay.
For me, yeah.
So do you want to know what it is?
Yeah, I do.
So you think it's designer? Do you want to guess on a brand?
I've got a feeling somehow you'll give me a vibe that it's actually not, but I'm going to have to stick with what I said on the smell. I'm presuming it's not Guerlain because we're talking about Guerlain. It's not. So can I just have one more sniff?
Do you think it's a fairly new release or something that's been out a long time?
It's got a little bit more of a classic feel, so I'm going to say it's maybe a classic designer. I'll go with Versace, but that's around,
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready for the reveal?
Yes. Oh, wow.
Libre. So this is the latest Yves Saint Laurent release.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that in stores. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Completely emptied up that sample now. So I use all of it.
Right.
Which I feel like it needs. The
like
longevity was really good. I did a spray on my wrist last night. I just told these lot. I'll tell you.
Okay.
I did a spray on my wrist last night and I slept for 11 hours, which I explained why. And I can still smell it projecting a little tiny bit off my wrist.
Right.
So longevity, I would say, was excellent.
If you wake up the next day and it's there, that's a good sign. That's really nice.
So it's interesting because you've described it almost exactly how I described it in the opening. It's that slightly powdery, slightly sweet, slightly floral, kind of a clean vibe. I said it smells a bit like laundry drying in the breeze.
Okay,
Which, when you first spray it, there's more of that. I don't think we've got anything left, but I'll try to see if you get that breezy, which I don't think is there anymore so much. So it smells clean. Here we go, little tiny bits come out. See, it is actually a little bit different now.
Oh yeah, it's more,
Do you say it's more floral in the opening than it is now?
Yeah, it does smell very, it smells like a bit of a mixture there of citrus and florals.
Yeah, because there's orange blossom in here.
Yeah, you get that kind of thing.
Yeah, now I smell the dry down compared to the opening. I realise that the opening is more floral than I think I gave it credit for. The orange blossom is noticeable. Yeah. Without being too syrupy and orangey like it can be. I don't know if you get that. When you smell orange blossom, it can be a bit like cloying.
Yeah, I know what you mean,
It smells lighter here.
Yeah. And
you get that breezy thing that I'm talking about, like a fresh air almost.
Yeah, definitely. I can see what you mean about laundry hanging in the air or something like that. But the dry down much more sort of powdery, soft, sweet,
musky,
definitely. Yeah, probably hence my feeling that it was a bit like La Mal.
Well, I do completely agree with you on that because I think in La Mal I think it might be the wormwood, which is also known as Artemisia. And that gives it this kind of musky, slightly sweet, powdery thing, I think. And I feel like there's something similar in here.
Yeah. And so you quite liking it?
Yeah. I'd say
you're not normally a big fan of new designer fragrances for ladies.
Most new designer ladies fragrances do piss me off just because they're so generic. And I understand why they have to be a bit generic. I do get that. But this, I think, is different enough that I can give it a thumbs up and still going to be mass appealing because I think you could give that as a gift to most ladies.
Yeah.
And they'd probably go, "Oh, that's really nice."
It is really nice.
Yeah.
I smelled it quite strongly on you when you came in and thought it was nice. Sort of not thinking with my perfume fan head on, just as a sort of natural human reaction. So
brilliant.
Can't say fairer than that. Okay. And it's quite a nice. I quite like the bottle, which I've seen in the shops.
The bottle's really nice, so I can show you them on here because I'm not fancy, so I won't be able to show them a bottle on a proper photo. But there's the bottle, and in real life, it's nice because that's like that gold bit's raised, sort of like encasing the bottle. So it is really a really nice bottle that I think would really quite a good gift option. I think because who's not going to like that bottle? And the smell is very pleasant without being boring and dull.
I agree. No, I like it. Yeah,
I'm really impressed. So what I'm going to just come back later on and just give a final update and see how things have changed as it's rolled along. But that's now sort of 2 hours in. So thank you for your thoughts on that, Mr Smelly.
My pleasure.
Hi everyone. So I'm back and Dan has left. He went a little while ago. He was here at 3 p.m, but 3:15 is when we recorded his thoughts on the perfume and I applied it at 1. So he was smelling it 2 hours in, but now we are at 7:20 p.m. This is going to be the last update because I'm cooking dinner and I'm just feeling like I've got some new things to spray and I really want to spray them on. So this will be the last update. And I wanted to give you the notes of the fragrance that I got off of Fragrantica. So the notes are mandarin lavender, blackcurrant petitgrain, jasmine, orange blossom, Madagascar vanilla, cedar ambergris and musk. The perfumers are Anne Filippo and Carlos Bernane, so they are very much superstar perfumers. And I think you can tell by the fragrance that it's been crafted by experts, because it is really beautiful. It's one of those fragrances where you don't really specifically pick out notes, particularly after the initial sort of first half hour or so. It feels like everything just blends together in this gorgeous fluffy cloud of goodness. And to me now, at this stage, it's just like a floral, fluffy, musky, slightly sweet cloud. And I don't feel like it's a big projector. Now, when I looked at Fragrantica, more people call it a big projector, or it's actually sillage, which is slightly different. Sillage is supposed to be the trail that you leave, but that's not something I'm really able to test out, not really, because if I wander around in circles, people give me funny looks, so I've stopped doing that. But I can tell how well something projects quite easily from just generally smelling the distance from my wrist, although I do find wrists don't project as well as I get from around here. But if I'm smelling it just from sitting down or barely moving, then I know that it's projecting fairly well if it's coming out from here up to here. To me, that's a good test. But people on Fragrantica say that sillage is really strong, and I'm thinking just from how it's projecting that it's probably a bit average in terms of sillage, but the longevity is definitely good. As I said to you earlier, it lasted over 11 hours, and it's certainly still going fairly strong now. This is just over 6 hours. And yes, you can smell the orange blossom and the jasmine. I think they're indistinguishable. It's like they've come together, and they're just quite a nice sweet floral scent. But then it's very musky and almost a little bit sugary. And I do think that there might be some heliotrope in there, even though it's not listed. I feel like I smell a bit of heliotrope, which is a good thing in my opinion. If you like heliotrope, it's a good thing. If you don't, it's a bad thing. Now, in terms of the lavender in there, I didn't really pick that out to start with. I only really noticed the lavender really after sort of 3 or 4 hours. It started to get a touch herbal, and I think that was the lavender. But I've never really picked up greatly on the lavender, although I'm sure other people probably do. Sometimes with lavender, I don't always pick it out, even though I'm so familiar with it, I just don't always pick it out. Same happens to me with rose and a few other things. There are just some ingredients or notes that I don't notice until they're pointed out to me. So with the lavender, it really only became apparent much further into the dry down, and it seems to have gone away to my nose anyway, or it's just amalgamated. It feels like all the notes have just kind of blended together in this fluffy cloud of goodness, and that's really all I can say, I think, on how it smells. I like it. I think it's a really solid release for Yves Saint Laurent. They definitely do mass appealing fragrances, and this feels like it's going to be very mass appealing, but it does come off quite different to a lot of the other fruity florals out there. This doesn't smell like a fruity floral to me. This is a floral gourmand that's a bit powdery. That's how I detect it anyway. I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, can you see what's in the background there? So Dan gave me a little birthday present. I wasn't expecting anything, and so sweet of him, but he managed to pick up these vintage perfumes. Hopefully you can tell what they are. I'm not going to say them. Let me know if you recognise them. I'm sure you do. And which one do you want me to review first? Let me know and I will do it for you. But I'm very excited to have them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.